Fat truth, not fat shaming. This video is going to be recorded in the dark. I hope you can bear with me. I just have some things on my mind that I'd like to share. Um, there's a lot of discussion these days about fat shaming, and fat shaming is supposed to be wrong. And really, it is kind of wrong if we're deliberately judgmental and nasty with people. But I want to bring attention to the fact that a lot of people um, won't address the fact that so many of us are fat. I mean, when I use the word fat, I'm not saying that someone is, a disgusting pig. I think pigs are great. And while some of the behaviors associated with being overweight, like overeating, can be disgusting, I think the general feeling when you call someone something like that is very judgmental and not good. But I think it's really important that we look at the fact that in a lot of ways we give people a pass for their behavior. We have in America a situation in which people are overeating to very, you know, I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for myself and, the 60, 70% of people that are overweight. Um, we have eating disorders. We eat way too much. We eat past our fill. We eat to discomfort, not to satiation. We eat food that destroys us, and we eat food that, you know, is really better off not made in the first place. Um, and this is a huge problem. It is a major, major problem. And I see this trend um, where people are not supposed to fat shame other people as being very negative and not productive. Why do I say that? Well, again, I want to draw a distinction here. I don't think it's right to judge people. And when I say judge, I'm saying holding a level of an amount of anger or hatred or resentment towards someone. All those kinds of feelings are not loving feelings. And we really need to address our unloving feelings before we uh, distribute them among the population. um, it's not right to judge people. Um, what a lot of people don't understand is it's not even right to judge people just in your thoughts. I mean, a lot of people are judgmental not in their words. They wouldn't think to say something, but they think it. They feel it and they think it. Um, and that's a problem too. So even that we need to address. But I'm not going to say more about that. That's a whole other topic of discussion. I'm going to keep this to fat shaming and fat truth. What is the truth about people being overweight in America? What is the truth about people being fat? Again, when I use the word fat, I'm saying, people that are overweight and have way too much fat on them. I mean, we're talking about fat here. I'm not saying muscled people. There are people that are big and they might be heavy because of some amount of muscle on them. And that's not necessarily bad. But we need to address this issue of, you know, fat people in our society, overweight people in our society, obese people in our society, morbidly obese people in our society. I don't know what you call someone who's more than morbidly obese. I'm morbidly obese. I'm about 300 pounds. There are people that are 350, 400, 500, more. This is a real problem. And the thing that people aren't talking about is that it really has a negative effect on society. Um, Heavy people cause unfortunate events. Um, People who are big need to be um, accounted for. If there are more people in society that are bigger, um, seats need to be designed differently. Space is diminished. Um, I'm talking about airplanes. I'm talking about trains. I'm talking about um, regular chairs. Um, Chairs have to be designed to fit large people. More material needs to go into these chairs. Um, People who are overweight are unhealthy. People who are obese are unhealthy. And these health problems need to be um, addressed, and more work in the medical field needs to go to these people. Um, more doctors and nurses need to be utilized to attend to these unhealthy people. And again, as I mentioned before, um, we have this situation of supply and demand where there is a large demand for M&Ms and potato chips and all manner of snacks and candies and sugary drinks and carb heavy sandwiches and snacks and meals. Um, this is all because there is a desire among the fat population to indulge in their addiction. And we eat way more than we need to eat. We waste a lot. And those resources could be used in other areas. Um, Now, I know that in some ways you might think that I can't really comment on this because I myself am somebody who is an overeater. I'm somebody with a huge addiction to food. Um, I binge, this. Honestly, I'll tell you, I'm pretty ashamed of this, but I receive money from the government. I receive $160 every month for food, and that $160, most of it goes to junk food. Most of it goes to carb heavy meals and junk food. I'm not proud of it, and I I judge myself because of it, because of my behavior, and that's probably not right in the end, but I do that. But I do feel that I can comment on this because I don't think that my situation is right. I don't think that I can justify my eating. If there's one thing I have going for myself, it is that I know the truth about what I'm doing. I know that it's wrong. I know that other people have to make up for me. I feel guilt pretty much 24/7 for the situation that I'm in. I have a pretty healthy awareness of the damage that I'm causing. And at the end of the day, with that knowledge, what do I do? Not much. Um, the dynamic I have going for myself right now as an addict is that I don't want to see what's underneath this addiction. I don't want to come to terms with the fear and the sadness that is inevitably underneath my addictive behavior. I'd rather damage myself. I'd rather take advantage of the opportunities that society is affording me. I'd rather make other people's lives harder than address my own pain. And that is very selfish and it is wrong. Besides that, I would say one of the only things going for me is that I have an understanding that I am part of the problem here. My behavior is not correct here. Um, so, just to conclude this little video here, um, no, I don't think it's right to shame people who are fat, but at the same time, people who are fat need to take responsibility for their lives. Um, they need to take responsibility for the behavior that they're engaging in. And it's an addiction and it requires a lot of self love and compassion from other people to get through it. But in the end, you can do it by yourself and with God, I believe. You don't necessarily need the help of others, but you can do it, with God. That's the best way to go. That's what I'm counting on for myself. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for listening.